Now, another big story that broke right before we got on there, about an hour, a little bit less than an hour or so before we got on the air tonight, is South Carolina women's basketball coach Dawn Staley talked about the possibility that she may have had this past offseason in coaching the Knicks. Remember, she had an interview with the team. The Knicks obviously went with Mike Brown, but she said today, she did a podcast with Aaliyah Boston and Candace Parker and said if the Knicks offered her the job, she would have taken it. Quote, I would have had to do it, not just for me, for women. To break that door open, I would have had to. It's the Knicks. I'm from Philly. Sorry, you got swept. I'm from Philly, but it's the freaking New York Knicks. Right? Now, this is a great statement by Dawn Staley because, look, in my lifetime, I mean, I can't sit here and tell you in the next 3 years, the next 5 years, but in my lifetime, and I mean like in a time I think before, I get done and retire and all kinds of stuff, in my working lifetime, I'll say, we're going to have a women's coach in basketball in one of the big professional sports, right? But most likely in basketball, we will have it. We've seen it, and it's about getting close and then having the person to break through. Like Becky Hammon, who was an assistant for San Antonio for the longest time. And look, I really wonder if she was brought in and the whole plan was going to be Pop was going to coach, and then eventually Becky Hammon was going to be the team for so long that they were just going to, it was going to be an easy thing. Yes, now Becky's the coach. Okay, great. Like Becky's got the culture and everything else. Now, obviously things changed. Becky left to go to the WNBA. Pop had to retire. He's going upstairs. But you saw Becky Hammon get really close, right? You saw Dawn Staley get an interview with the Knicks, and there was no reason the Knicks had to interview Dawn Staley. There was no one clamoring saying, how are you not, you got to interview. That's just not happening. They gave her an interview. She's a great coach. You see her speak. You see her talk. You see her be an ambassador for the game of basketball. When they won the national title and she spent time right after the game to salute Caitlin Clark in Iowa, like that was an unbelievable classy move to make, right? That was real on the floor where this is your chance, your shining moment. I want to talk about Caitlin and what's going on here. And that was an incredible moment for her. You see the players, what they say about her. She was not brought in just say, hey, maybe Dawn Staley breaks through, right? Like how Mike Tomlin got the job with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He wasn't a serious candidate when it first came in, but the Rooney Rule, interviewing African-American candidate, he came in, blew the doors off of the Steelers. Here he is 45 years later, still coaching the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sometime before I'm done, there will be a women's coach, and probably the NBA, just because they're the closest now, is going to be the first team to do it. I don't know if it's going to be in a big market like New York, it'll be a smaller market like Sacramento, but it's going to have. We're going to see that at some point. We are getting closer and closer to that with every day.
Yeah, the curiosity of the crossover, and it takes a certain mentality and skill set to want to make that leap as well, right? You can be a great coach, but there's a lot more than just the coaching, and that's what she alluded to in the interview, that she asked a bunch of other questions about, all right, how do things change around here? Are you prepared if I'm hired? What changes here, and here? And that's where you're going to start getting the glassed over kind of eyes of, well, we hadn't considered that are suddenly going to be part of the day-to-day. So curiosity, talking about being on a staff and eventually moving into that role, coaches in waiting. Well, those are rare because you got very few organizations that really allow you the long place in an organization anymore. Even if you're having success, we see owners get impatient, GMs that want their guys, because even if the coach stays, GM cycles out. And eventually, if it gets a bit stagnant, that you're going to move. And in the case of Becky Hammon, it became all right, he's never leaving. I mean, how many times do we see that in college football, right? With men, it's like, all right, you're the coach in waiting. All right, I'm tired of waiting. It's been 6 years. It's been 8 years.
Yeah,
you saw it with Boeheim. We saw it in college football, going down to Bobby Bowden and a bunch of other guys, where it was like, is he ever actually going to leave?
Yeah.
Is like, what's my end game here? Can you give me any assurances? And you can get a higher pay raise and negotiate that, and that's great. And maybe you're slowly but surely wresting control. But eventually, you want the placard under your name to read head coach. So for Dawn Staley, I'd love to see more opportunity and more of the questions being asked. And I'd love to see some video from behind the scenes of exactly how that part of the interview process went.
Well, look, and that's part of it, too,
right?
is that the NBA, you talk about the one league that, hey, we're going to interview coaches outside the box. Right, that's the NBA, right? Like that's what they do. Like the NBA, you are looking who could you possibly hire. Right? Look at the way searches have gone. Look at the way the Knicks search went this offseason, calling all these other teams for permission. All these other teams are saying no. Like the NBA is.
I still like that. I might be the only guy.
It's It's such an outside the box situation where, hey, are we going to hire another retread that we may win, may not, or can we make a bold move and Dawn Staley and see if it works? Like that's going to be something that happens in the NBA.
Yeah, like the Lakers. Bold move, bold strategy.
Let's see if it pays off.
That's right.